What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over several of the leaks and news we have about the upcoming Fortnite Simpsons season, because last night we had both the season key art and the map for next season leaked online, and we also are starting to get some of the build-up on the Chapter 6 map for the live event that will bring us into the Simpsons season. So there's a lot of news to go over. As always, if you guys do find this video to be helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, comment down below what you think of this information, and if you guys would like to use my code in the shop when getting anything, it is EvolveJake, just like my channel name is, and it is underneath the webcam at all times. So we're going to start with the season key art that was posted online last night, and from this there's actually a lot of information to take away. I'll have it on screen now, but for starters, we get a look at the art style of what this season could be. And what like kind of the map will look like, because a few days ago there was leaks that the upcoming Simpsons map would be cell shaded, and that caused a lot of kind of frustration within the community because people thought it would look really bad. And with that news being there and with this key art now being out, I would kind of expect the map to look like how this key art does. So if you look at like the buildings in the background and the kind of trees and stuff, that's what I expect the map to look like. Doesn't look like normal Fortnite, but I also don't think it looks as bad as what a lot of people kind of envisioned when they heard cell shaded. I know the Borderlands POI in Season X was brought up a lot, and it doesn't really look like that. There's also several Simpson characters you can see on this, with Homer, Marge, Bart, Lisa, Krusty, Moe, and Ned all being on this picture, which are characters from The Simpsons. And then there are also two mashup skins, with a Simpsons Peely skin and a Simpsons fish stick skin. So, you know, wouldn't be Fortnite without a new version of Peely. For I don't even know how many Peely skins there are, but you know, there's another Peely coming. I'm sure that's exciting. And I think it is also pretty interesting that in the background we see Durburger, and then there's the gas station which is called Bird E-Mart. And the gas station in The Simpsons is called Quickie Mart, and then we've had the Bird gas stations in Chapter 6. So it seems like there are going to be some kind of Fortnite locations on this map, and it's not going to be all original Simpsons stuff. Just Durburger being there really surprised me. We also do get a look at some of the items that could be in next season, because the Simpsons Peely skin is actually holding the Thunder shotgun. This is from Chapter 4, Season 1, and it was a, you know, pretty good hard-hitting pump, and it has been featured in Reload several times. I think it actually just got unvaulted in Reload as well. And the fish stick skin is either holding the Scar or the Striker AR. Both those guns look very similar, and it probably is the Scar, but for some reason to me it just looked more like the Striker AR that he was holding, but it probably is just the Scar. The Bart character also has his skateboard, which may end up being a mobility item for next season, because skateboards were actually leaked to be a mobility item all the way in Chapter 3. They just never came out. And he is holding a drink, which could end up being some sort of healing item. As of right now, it is expected that the Battle Pass will be Homer, Marge, Ned, and then the Peely and Fish Stick mashup skins, with Bart and Lisa being item shop skins. That isn't too surprising. We had the same thing kind of happen with the Star Wars season, where the Battle Pass had a combination of characters from the IP and the mashup skins. That upset a lot of people in the Star Wars season because they wanted, you know, an entire Battle Pass of those characters. But if you want to get all of them, you're probably going to have to buy some out of the shop as well. But that's kind of the key takeaways from the key art, I think. If you look back through like every Fortnite season that has happened, the key art is pretty accurate as far as what will be coming to the game. So like the Thunder Shotgun and the Scar being there, I don't think it's just random happenstance. I expect those weapons to be in the loot pool. What is most interesting, I think, about the leaks from last night is that a work-in-progress version of the map was actually posted online, and I'll have that on screen now. And as I said, it's not totally finished, but the layout and the main POIs are probably going to be kind of what we see when the season drops. I saw a decent amount of criticism of people saying there's like too much open space between the POIs, and that will probably get refined, you know, as the map gets completed. This is a more early version of the map. It's not the finished product. And as I kind of talked about earlier this week, with this being a Simpsons map, I think it's still it still looks very similar to what we would expect from a Fortnite map. There's like POIs all over the place, roads between them, and then, you know, kind of some stuff in between the POIs. It's not like it's a drastic difference from what we would expect for a Fortnite map, just because it is Simpsons themed. So some kind of notable locations that are on this map that people have noticed is going to be obviously the power plant. This is an iconic Simpsons POI that, is on this map, but people have also noticed Mr. Burns Manor, which will be a POI on the east side of the map. I expect this to play somewhat like Lavish Lair or Lone Wolf Lair, where it's just like a big kind of like mansion style POI. The Simpsons Town Square will also be a POI in the center of the map. And then going off the picture, it also looks like there will be a farm POI on the top left, and then a few neighborhood style POIs as well. So as I talked about earlier this week, it is a Simpsons Fortnite map, and the POIs are kind of themed around Simpsons locations, but you still kind of have like the staple kind of style of Fortnite POI where there's neighborhoods, there's a farm, there's like an industrial area with the power plant, there's a mansion. Like, it's not like so different from what you would expect from a Fortnite map, and I expect a lot of these POIs to kind of play familiar to what you're used to with a Fortnite POI. When we have had several neighborhood POIs or several farm POIs in the past, they all play a bit different, but there's also similarities that they share, and I expect those similarities to kind of carry through to this upcoming Simpsons map. One kind of very interesting thing about this map that a lot of people have pointed out and talked about is that this map does look a lot smaller than normal, and a few months ago, when the Simpsons stuff was initially leaked and that it was rumored it was getting its own map, I think it was stated that it would be like a reload-sized map, but for BR. Now, that information didn't keep getting reported on, so I thought maybe that part was just incorrect, but this does look more similar to like a reload-sized map, but this is expected to be the BR map, so I don't think BR is going to have the reload mechanic, but it might just be a smaller scale BR where maybe there's less than 100 players, or even if there is 100 players, it's going to die out quick, and it's going to be more of like a mini BR style season, which personally I've seen a lot of hate for. But I'm not that opposed to it. If you think back to some of the OG seasons we've had in November, like OG Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 Remix, I feel like both of those maps being larger had a lot of kind of dead time throughout the course of the games. And I think with this smaller map, the games will go by pretty quick, I think, and the pacing of this season could actually be quite good. There should still be cars on the map. We saw with the key art, there was the gas station, but also Homer's car was in that key art. So I expect cars to still be on this map. They might not be as plentiful, but this is definitely a smaller scale map than what we're used to. And personally, I'm not too opposed to that. One kind of concern that I do have about that is if we have 100 players on this map and it's like incredibly chaotic and incredibly fast paced, I wonder how the community will react if Chapter 7 has a full-scale, like, normal BR map in normal kind of pacing. If people get adjusted to this really fast pace during November, Chapter 7 might just feel really slow by comparison. And I feel like we've kind of seen that within the community with modes like Reload and Blitz being a thing, where people who really grind those modes have a tough time kind of enjoying normal BR afterwards because it just feels so slow to them. So I'm kind of wondering if this will warp the community's perception of the pacing of the game. But I'm not opposed to the mini BR style map. I'm interested to see how that will play out. Let me know what you guys think of that in the comments below. I think that is the most interesting thing about all these leaks is not, Simpsons POIs or the cell shaded aspect, but the size of the map is something that interests me most. And the final thing I want to talk about is going to be the event buildup, because we are going to be getting an event at the end of Chapter 6 going into the Simpsons season, and we have started to get the buildup for that on the Chapter 6 map now. So outside Creepy Camps, on the kind of top left corner of it, there is a sapling that is now growing, and it is expected that this will eventually grow into Bart's treehouse, and then something will happen during the event with that, which ends up bringing us to the Simpsons reality. But for now, it's just a little sapling, and then over the course of the next week, it will get larger and more developed into that treehouse. And if you are someone who is curious about kind of the cell-shaded aspect of the map, you can kind of get a look at that with this little sapling, because it is different than the normal Fortnite art style. This is the art style that we will be getting for the Simpsons season. So if you are someone who's really worried about that, you can get a small little preview of how it looks in-game with this sapling. And as the tree grows and gets larger, you'll get, more of an example there. But that is going to be it for this video. Let me know what you guys think of this down in the comments below. Very surprised that this leaked. I might have a video kind of coming in a day or two. I'm not sure if it'll be on this channel or my second channel, kind of talking about what I think about leaks and stuff, because there has been a lot of discussion within the community regarding how much just leaked for the Simpsons season. But if you enjoyed this, give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, comment down below what you thought of this, and if you would like to see kind of my thoughts on leaks. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.